This is Jenny. Welcome to Miami Lit Podcast. It's been a while, and I am so happy to be back.
We're back.
And to be back here with you guys at JADA at the JCC. It's so special. Last time I was here was a really special time in my life personally, and you all as well, professionally and in all senses. And now we're back a year
So
later.
much has happened in 1 year.
Yes.
You had a baby. I got married. And Sam is just
Same old for me.
look at that hair.
Well,
I'm blonde now.
Amazing
He
hair.
looks good. I'm
He's
saying
been working on his hair.
he's got swag.
Yeah. So a whole year has flown by, and you have so much to share with us at the art fair this year. You guys have expanded. You've just grown so much. Where should we start? Let's start with the theme, because the theme I felt was very special. How did you come up with it?
I'd like to thank Jonas for that one. Props to Jonas.
We miss him, by the way.
He's with us in spirit in the metaverse. We'll talk about that later. But IRL meets URL, hyper sincerity in the art gallery and meta spaces.
Right.
So that was a unique title we coined. And what's different about this year is it's not just for Miami Art Week, but we had Paris Art Week in October. So it kind of bridged the theme for the year. Like every year we kind of set a tone for the year. And this year the IRL meets URL is so relevant. Like how I feel technology is so rapidly evolving, especially, I don't know, there's something about this year where it's like such a deep connection to being so adapted to being online and being on Zoom and being, I'll just meet you virtually. Like that's just such an easy conversation to have, like that it's picking up speed and it's so relevant to Paris that we had like 30 plus artists represented in the meta spaces when we weren't there, but we were all connected online and in the meta. So maybe you want to touch in on that.
Yeah, and I think it's just kind of a nice kind of continuation of this conversation we've been having with JADA over the years. You know, our first year was in 2019, and even in that first year, we were very focused on still having like artwork digitally shown. This was before anyone had NFTs or metaverse or anything like that.
2019 was the inception year.
That's right.
And then, you know, we all know what happened in 2020. Then we were all kind of forced online, right? And, you know, even with 2019, and it's just kind of the case with so many just relationships in the modern era, a lot of us met online first. You know, we knew each other over the internet before we actually met in person. And that's just kind of something that's rang true throughout the years that we've been doing JADA. And now we're just kind of leaning into it a little bit more. I think one thing that was really special about this last fair we did in Paris, the first installment of IRL meets URL, is you know, our partner Jonatas, who's one of the co-founders of JADA, is out in Paris now, right? And he's been in Paris for a couple of years now, and so he's really kind of embedded in the scene out there in Paris.
He's
and
living it.
Yeah, and he's been meeting a lot of Parisian artists, and so the difference between that affair in Paris that we had that was different than what we had in previous years is it was primarily Parisian artists this time, you know. And I think with JADA in years past, we put a lot of focus on trying to be this like international art fair, which they all are. You know what I mean? And what we saw in Paris was we had like a really, like, I don't want to say it was a community art fair because it wasn't that, but we really had a bunch of Parisians there. And these were all people that we met. I mean, Dana and I are in America. We weren't meeting any of these people.
But I feel like they're my friends. I've met none of them in person, but I've met all of them URL and online. It's insane, but we feel that connection. Never before. Like we're right there together. Like he said, Jonatas is in Paris representing the Parisians with the Paris Art Week, but they're exactly here with us. We have the meta, we have the headset here, but we have the installation in the hallway. We have the QR codes that go to the app. It's very adaptable and easy to connect to, so much more than last year. It's just faster. And just like 1, 2, 3, we're connected, and we can easily just have that community, like you said, because we're not a fair. We're more like a movement where we want to keep the momentum and the buildup of, wherever we are, we're connected for this common purpose.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love how you guys are so proactive about bridging that gap of being in person and sharing these experiences, but also being one step ahead, like you always are with Meta and the URL component. I think that's so important because it feels like a balance, right? Because if you only do things in person, you miss out. Like you said, all these Persian artists you wouldn't have had access to, or if you do only things in the metaverse, then something gets lost.
Yeah, and just in 2019, everything was in person because there was no introduction yet, and then because of COVID, now it is a happy medium. Right, last night we had the artist preview where the artist came and we, talked to the artist, did a tour. It was in person, but some moments are more intimate and in person. But now we're here online streaming, so it has to have that balance. And there is such a tangible need for the connection, the physical presence, just as much as we want to keep the online feeling going with what we're trying to do and adapt to.
So the big question, because we've all heard about NFTs and that huge wave, right? How it was amazing, and then all of a sudden it's non-existent, and you hear the naysayers saying, "I told you so."
Classic.
Right? Classic. Where are we at with all of that? Is art done and over with in that sense?
Do you want to?
I don't think so. I mean, as far as NFTs go, maybe, right? Maybe we are done with that, but I'm not going to say that yet. I think there's still a lot of potential for them, but what's never going to go away is artwork on the internet, right? Maybe we're not buying it with cryptocurrency and all of that, but I mean, like so many of the artists, kind of like what we were talking about before in Paris and here in Miami this year, and every year really we see their artwork first on the internet, right? So there's always, and then so many of the artists um that maybe were in Paris that can't be here physically and can't even have their artwork here physically, because it's not an easy thing shipping artwork across
We
the ocean, although people do it. Right.
Yeah.
But if you can't do that, then you can go into the metaverse and still see their artwork. And now, are we going to make it an NFT and try and sell it as an NFT? Maybe not, but it's still another way to engage with the artwork and view it.
Well, I think to comment on that, it's the evolution of the form of payment. Because this year, because I was getting married, so I wasn't physically able to join them for Paris Art Week. But I was for the first time, actually, I have to admit, I was in the metaverse as a avatar. And I was walking around and I saw people hop in it live. And I was like, oh, hey, it's like The Sims.
Yeah.
Remember Sims?
Yes.
I was like, oh, this is kind of nice. Like I had my own face and it was, it was just it was super cool. And I was telling everyone I'm live inside, like we were streaming and on JADA TV, but we were, it was just a playful way to click on the artwork. You can zoom in. It's, obviously there's always going to be tech glitches, but the way that we are paying it, it's continuing to evolve. One of our main partners is Nefting this year, and they have an app. So they have an app to purchase and buy artwork through through your wallet, but it's more adaptable and it's becoming the future, right? I think even PayPal, and they're coming out with ways to connect your wallet,
Right.
so it's going to be easier and easier every year as we continue to evolve. But Nefting is our partner that has partnered up with us, where the artists, when they were submitted their work and they got accepted, they had to upload their work. So it's optional if they wanted to sell it as an NFT or not. So kind of that's something unique and new. That's not what it was when there was the NFTs, the thousands and thousands. And the initial boom and then bust, right?
Yeah.
But it's going to continue to stay strong. And I think it's just the evolution of how it's, played out in our everyday lives is what's important.
Yeah, it's just gonna take time, right? Like if you talk about cryptocurrency 10, 15 years ago, the only people using it were people who were using it for like illicit purposes on the
Right.
dark web, right?
Now you have those docu-series where there's people that made millions and then they're missing.
Yeah, and I think everyone at this point, especially in Miami, everyone has a cousin, a friend, someone who's into crypto and is
Yeah.
buying it. So it's becoming something that more and more people are becoming comfortable
Well,
with.
our mayor, right, was very
Oh yeah,
supportive of
or
yeah.
Miami coin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. He should bring that
We
back.
have the
What-
crypto bull in Miami. You know how they have like the stock market. And hot take,
Oh, I didn't know
people hate
that.
on the crypto bull, and like you know how they have the bull in the stock market. We have like this like robotic looking one in downtown Miami.
Looks cool.
People hate on it. It's actually like vandalized at the moment. I'm pretty sure. Last time I saw it at the book fair. I think it's cool. Like, why can't we like
Do our-
celebrate new industry coming to the city? Everyone wants
Yeah.
like everyone just wants to hate in Miami and say like
I agree with that 100%. I was really excited
Embrace
about
change.
it. Yeah.
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 Funny. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I
really
didn't know it
cool.
was
You should go see
vandalized
it.
either.
So where do you see art going in the metaverse in this platform? You touched upon it a little bit, but in your predictions, where do you see art moving on?
I mean, we touched on that, but I think it's just a need, right? It's an extension. I mean, there's more generations now. I'm 35, but there's younger kids, and the cell phones, they're in that age where they're growing up with it at 4, at 3. So it's an extension of their capabilities. We always see it as a negative thing. Oh, they can't, but it's a positive thing. It's like, with this technology, they can conquer the world.
That's true.
And I think that goes the same with how we're going to be able to purchase and buy artwork. Those viewing rooms are still available with any gallery. I think it's important to keep an online conversation going, but it's, the more that we utilize it, the more we can have so much power, good and bad.
Right.
And I think, like you said, kids today, and even kids a generation ago, people my generation in their 20s, are conditioned to socialize over the internet with the video games. And one thing that always kind of like boggles my mind is like my nieces and nephew love the Fortnite game, right? Like a lot of kids do. And they drop serious money to have these. I mean, they're basically NFTs for their Fortnite characters,
Yeah, what are they
right?
called skins or something?
Skins or whatever they're calling it. I don't
You know what's
know.
going on.
I know a little
But-
bit.
but-
I'm hip.
Yeah,
Yeah, just because I said hip, that cancels me. I'm not.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we've all played of any age, really. I think we've all played games that have like in-app purchases, in-game purchases. I know I have, and I'm not even a gamer. There's like the new Grand Theft Auto game coming out. I remember when the last one came out, I would spend money on it to have like in-game currency to buy things in the game and
Right.
use it, interact with my friends online and like buy like have this whole life on the internet basically. And it's not that different than an NFT, right? So I think slowly we're going to start seeing the two things kind of integrate with one another. That's my prediction, at least. And I also think as far as the future with NFTs, I've always thought from day one, and go back into the JADA archives, I've been saying this since like 2020. I think the real potential with NFTs lies within like licensing, licensing music, licensing artwork. Because right now, like say you want to have like the publishing rights to a song, like a Tom Petty song, right? Someone's going to have the rights to it in the United States, but then if you want to use it in a commercial in France, then it's a whole separate thing. And I think they're kind of there's a lot of potential for it to just be a universal thing where it's like, okay, you have the NFT, the non-fungible token, not like a little JPEG, but you have the
You own the
non-fungible
rights.
token. You own the rights to like this song, this work of art. If you want to use it in your commercial, in your game or whatever. That's where I see it going. I don't know why people aren't using it like that yet. I think,
I
these
think you're
changes
ahead of the
slowly-
times.
So right. I still, I work with people in the music industry, and they're now figuring out solutions and platforms to get royalties off of their work that they've done so long ago. It's going to empower so many people to bring, their representation for, the internet went out, and now we can start to track
Yeah.
and claim things that we built over the years and create that history and that
Right.
footprint. That's so important and so true.
Yeah, that's so, so cool. So I want to focus on a part of the title of the theme for this year, the hypersincerity in art spaces. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think, Jonah Tusk, we met and we kind of, it was an intense year for all of us, as the founders, just staying connected. This year hasn't been the easiest. It's been a tough year for a lot of us. So I think just um, a big thing with JADA is just going back to the basics of why we're creating artwork for meaning and purpose. So the hyper sincerity is being our authentic selves and represent kind of making that an awareness and a headspace when we go into, selecting and, creating artwork for the shows and kind of what we want to, tell our story and our narrative. So that's, for my opinion, the hyper sincerity of bringing it back to the art gallery. When you have all of this technology, you can kind of get lost online, but bringing it back to bridging the gap with the traditional gallery spaces and representation for the artist to the viewer.
Yeah, and that ties into us being really a meta modern art movement too. It's like, a kind of pillar of meta modernism is that it's like a repudiation of like the nihilism of postmodernism, right? We're not rejecting the masters that came before us. We're embracing we
Love that.
one year we had an exhibition called legitimizing optimism, right?
COVID.
Because so often
think.
artwork is so negative and like vulgar for no reason, and
Just to make a statement.
yeah, and it's like, well, no, we
Like a shock factor, right?
yeah, and that's not what we're about, and I think a lot of that kind of postmodern nihilistic stuff is really actually profit driven, and it's pretentious. A lot of it comes with a high barrier of entry, and we have never been that art fair with Art Week. If you want that stuff, you can go to
There's
Art
a lot.
Fossil at the convention center.
Many places, but it's just being authentic, being true.
We don't have $40,000 bananas taped to the wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
You went there.
We did.
Yeah.
That's just, we'll leave that there.
One of the things I love about seeing the art that you guys curate and the artists that you work with, it is exactly as you said, Sam. It's something that's beautiful to look at, that it's going to evoke not just feelings but thoughts and opinions. It's just a lot of the right recipe that you want in art, and meaningful art, whatever that may mean to, because it can shift, which is so I just love it so much. You guys do such an amazing job.
And I think it's cool because I think over time we are all not just artists now, but collectors. So starting 2019, I have an office space with artwork from every we always buy work from our own artists because we're just like, oh, I love you. Just it's a moment and authentic and emotionally charged, and that's what life's about. That's human interaction at its most beautiful form, and we want to capture that. And we even collect. I collect the work that we have in the shows too, because it's just like, oh, I got to take that one's mine at the end of the night, So it's a beautiful recipe, like you said.
What's some of your favorite pieces this year? Can you pick a favorite? I feel like that's such a. It's like pick your favorite child.
I have a couple I want to talk
He's a
about.
little biased. Well, we're both biased. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so we haven't really touched on it yet, but we're also having this outdoor art exhibition in Seoul that we're calling JADA in Plein Air, and it's featuring all Miami-based artists. And the really cool thing, yeah, it's all Miami-based artists. We were kind of inspired a little bit by, the art fair we had in Paris wasn't explicitly only Parisian artists. Like we had people from the United States as well and everything, but it was a lot of Parisian artists. And just seeing the way the community came out to see, the artists were their neighbors and friends and family, right? So just we were kind of trying to recreate that feeling. And the en plein air aspect was just kind of inspired by Paris in general, because when you go around Paris, there's all these artists who just sell their artwork on easels on the side of the road. So we have this really cool space in Brickell. It's right on the bay. We have like a big canopy tent, and it's just a bunch of artwork from Miami-based artists that are going to be up on easels and pegboards and walls and stuff like that. And the really great thing about it is we have a lot of very established Miami-based artists, like some people who I never thought would even give us the time of day, honestly, and new artists who've never shown their work before.
Talent.
That's so exciting.
So much talent.
Yeah. So I would say two pieces that are my favorite this year are one from a very established Miami-based artist called Marcus Blake. He gave us two paintings that we're going to be showing. I really like one called Jersey Girl, and another one that's going to be on display for the first time ever from this artist, Gabriella, who is a student currently still, actually. She's in college. And she has it's a painting of club space, which I know might sound kind of silly, but it's the most beautiful
Yeah, I
painting
can just see
ever.
that 100%.
And I know someone's gonna buy it, someone's gonna love it. And it's just amazing that like she's creating at this level at like such a young age, so early in her career. Like I know like 10 years from now we're gonna be like, oh yeah, we were the first people to show her work. Yeah.
I love that. That's so cool.
And it's gonna be it's launches tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight
At
at
5 p.m. and daily, right? 5 to 10.
We're gonna do 5 to 10 today, which is Friday, 5 to 10 tomorrow. And then on Sunday, we're gonna do like 9 to 2
Like a
p.m.
brunch style.
Yeah, 609
Perfect time.
Bristol Avenue.
It's gonna be amazing. JADA and plein air. There's a big banner outside. So you gotta it's a really cool expansion of, we were on the beach side and we're also even now in downtown. So Sam really kind of led and
Yeah, this is
pioneered.
first year
It's
on
a
the
big deal.
mainland.
Yeah.
We've always been
Yeah.
on Miami Beach, actually.
We're expanding beyond borders. We're very nomadic and we're, proud of that.
Yeah.
We gotta flow.
I think that's the best thing because you get to, it's exciting every year. It's like,
You never know.
you never know. Right. So, since you brought that up, how has the process been of expanding and creating something that's outside and has so many challenges?
It's been really great because, obviously in my immediate circle, I know people who are artists, people who create artwork. So I got to include a lot of people who are friends of mine. But then beyond that, I really went out looking to see, what kind of untapped potential we have out there. And for every artist I found, maybe someone referred another one too. So it was just kind of this really organic thing. We had a meetup a couple weeks ago ahead of the art fair. I think it was like
Like that
before
they met ahead of
Thanksgiving.
time.
Yeah, because I wanted everyone to meet each other. It's like we're all
local.
here in Miami. Yeah, and get everyone excited about it. We have I have one artist who is actually a friend of mine, Redeemer, and he makes like custom action figures, right?
Oh.
And
That is-
what he does then after he makes them is he'll like stage them to take these really cool photos, and a lot of times they almost look like advertisements or like stills out of a movie. They just come out looking so cool. And I was looking at them, and this was maybe almost a year ago at this point, and I was like, you should like print these and like sell them as artwork, because he wasn't even thinking of it like that. And I'm like, no, this is art. Like you need to. And we were working together on it for a while, doing like some development, and now he's showing his artwork for the first time, and I'm really excited, and he's really excited about it. So there are some things like that too that are just super exciting. It's a lot of firsts with this fair.
Yeah.
And it's all thanks to Sam. Sam really, was the face. He took it and ran with it. And we're so proud of JADA's in plein air exhibition this weekend. It's truly our most special, unique experience of the fair, the fairs.
Right. And Sam, you took it and it's
We'll
amazing.
set it up after this.
He's gotta head out after this to go through the traffic.
The labels aren't laminated yet. I gotta go.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So
We got metaverse. We gotta start teleporting back and forth this traffic.
That would be great.
It's another level.
I would be really looking forward to that. Speaking of the metaverse, are we trying those on? Are you going to
Yeah, I mean,
show us?
yeah.
So
we
it's
have
set up
Oculus
to
here.
our Paris metaverse exhibit.
Mhm.
But right after, I'll demo it, and anyone that wants to use it, they can use it. But there's also the sensory experience.
Right.
So that's why it's like, the ABCs, let's start small. So you
Yeah.
got the app, it's the common app now. And you go to the QR code, click the image, it goes straight to the metaverse on your phone. So I like to have people do that first and then say, okay, do you want to try the headset?
That's smart.
Because
because it could be a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming if you just don't know.
Yeah.
We're kind of just, instead of forcing it, we're kind of teaching and educating them how to use it because we know that's just going to keep being the future of where we can explore more art.
And special thanks to Savion Bramwell Grant for being our metaverse sponsor this year. For providing the headsets. Yeah. Oh yeah, and Duds for putting it together. Yeah. But Savion's the one who gave us the headset.
Yes. And thank you to Duds because he was the one that hosted our metaverse. He's a Parisian artist.
Oh,
He
nice.
was at Paris Art Week and he had amazing
He's such a cool guy.
Yeah.
Getting to know him.
So that's what I'm saying, how it feels like, the title is exactly how we feel, like so authentic. IRL meets URL. Jonatas is in France. Half of the artists are in France, but half of us are here. But we're all connected, like we're best friends. Like, we Zoom call.
Yeah.
We WhatsApp, and then we're like, okay, I'll see you on my avatar in the metaverse, and like I like your work. We just message each other. It's just very. It is a movement. It's just so like authentic and beautiful.
And I like how you are taking your time with it. You're letting it grow organically and you are educating people and working with people, not just, just taking it like how we saw with the NFTs, that it was so crazy. And then that boom happened. So I think the way you're doing it makes a lot of sense.
We'll be here all weekend.
Yes. So please come out, especially to the new expansion.
Yeah,
so make a stop here, then go over to Brickell or vice versa.
So it's 10 to 5 here daily till Sunday. And then the 5 to 10 p.m.s, like right after 5, we head over.
Today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then Sunday.
We have free parking too.
Oh,
If you get there soon enough. Free parking in Brickell. I mean, come on. That's like kind of the
That's
biggest.
some sorcery. How did you guys make that happen?
Praise God. Thank you, Miami First Presbyterian Church. This is some real divine intervention there.
And thank you to our Miami Beach JCC community. We wouldn't be here without them. So it's been a beautiful experience and the weekend's just starting.
Yes. Yeah. So please make sure you come out, have a good time and support. And thank you guys so much for having us and sharing all your wonderful experiences with us. And we look forward to an amazing weekend. We love you. This is so fun.
We'll see you next time.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Miami Lit Podcast. We have a very special guest joining us here at the JCC and the JADA Art Fair. Ala, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to do a quick intro for those that are not familiar with you or your work. So you were born in Kyiv in the Ukraine, and at age 19, you immigrated from the Soviet Union and began to approach art more deliberately. So you were always interested in art?
Always.
Oh my
with
gosh.
paintings in my grandparents' apartment, and that was just something I've always looked at very carefully.
Do you remember the first time you realized that that's something that you could do? Like that's like a career or something you could dedicate yourself to?
I never thought I'd be good enough to be a real artist, but it was always something that I wanted. I used to go to a church next door that was closed because the Soviet Union had converted all churches and houses of prayer to storage facilities, basically. And the churches were always very beautifully painted, as we all know. And that was where I discovered the real dream of being an artist.
Oh my gosh. That's so beautiful. It's totally going to deviate, but it's so interesting that you say that because so my kids had an assignment from school yesterday where they had to interview an older member of our family, and they chose my father, and we are Cuban. So he lived through communism. And one of the questions was, what religion did you practice? And he was explaining to them how churches were all locked up, like you just said. You kind of just made me speechless right now, because it's so crazy how so many people across the world experience such sadness. But you found something beautiful in it, art.
Found very beautiful thing in closed churches, and um, going to that church was probably a little risky.
Yeah.
But and also we were Jewish. Again, there was no religion practiced anywhere, so whatever you could kind of look at was really special.
Wow. I could talk to you about that all day probably. So let's continue. You've you studied in London and New York, and you recently received your MFA from New York Studio School in 2017. And for your art, I love how you fuse themes from your heritage along with personal narratives on canvas. And I saw some of your art, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
You obviously you're very talented.
Oh, it's hard work.
Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't come easy. I guess we think of artists as people that can just make beautiful things, but we don't really think about the work that goes into it, right?
Right. But all artists uh, work day and night, and that's how you produce. And hopefully, something great comes out of all these hours
Yeah.
that you invest in your everyday life. And I see a lot of beautiful work that is represented here at JADA at the show at JCC. And so my school, where I graduated from, it's New York Studio School, and we have alumni association that is very strong. And from this association, we also had put together a gallery called Boom Contemporary. And so a lot of the artists from Boom Contemporary are represented today at JADA. Yes, so that's
So
the,
cool.
yeah.
What was that curation process like? Because I know you had a lot to do with that for
Yes,
the art fair.
yes. Well, I work with the artists on an everyday basis, and I know their work. So it was so easy to pick beautiful pieces because each and one of these artists has the resources, pulling their pieces for many years now, and it was really easy picking it. They're just you didn't have enough, you know. Uh, I didn't have enough um, room to include all of the
Right.
artists, of course.
Yeah. So then I'm going to ask you a difficult question that we just asked a little bit ago to the JADA team. Do you have a favorite piece in the fair?
Do I have a favorite piece in the fair? Let's see. I I think I couldn't possibly pick one.
Yeah, that seems like an unfair question. What would be a piece that you think everyone needs to come see? They absolutely, when they stop by, they need to see this piece.
Well, there is a piece by Whit Conrad that I am completely bestowed by, and it's something that everyone should see. It's colorful. It's joyful. It's well crafted. He has included a lot of his knowledge into it, informal knowledge, and the feeling is there. So I'd say that's a piece to see.
Yeah, that's so cool. Um, Before we come back to JADA and what we're celebrating this weekend in Art Week, let's talk about a very exciting project of yours, your Paris book. Uh, maybe a face to her of herself. Am
Yeah.
I correct? Which is poetry and art.
Yes.
That I feel like you wrote that for me, or you created that for me. Just kidding.
Yes.
It's everything I love in one book.
Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Nice to hear. The book had come via Paris. I was in Paris last year, was looking at all these beautiful exhibitions all around. There was at the time I went to see exhibition at Louis Vuitton Foundation. Joan Mitchell and Claude Monet were put together in this just fantastic exhibition, and I was very inspired by all of that work. And then I found myself in a cafe for lunch, and I had my watercolors in me, and there was a most beautiful girl walking around, bossing tables, and I couldn't stop drawing her. So I just sat there for an hour or so, and every 5 minutes I produced a small little drawing that is the size of a postcard. And that was the inspiration for the book. After I got home to New York, um, I was working with this beautiful girl right there, Dana, and we decided that maybe that should become a book. We asked my sister, who just graduated from NYU poetry program, if she would write poems to go with each of the drawings, paintings, and she did, and we had a book. And it's a very special collaboration between me and my sister.
That's so beautiful. That's amazing. And to purchase the book through your
The book is an artistic edition. It's not really for sale.
would you ever create maybe different editions?
That's all very possible in the future, and maybe different projects.
Yes.
But the book is I give to my family, my friends.
Oh wow, that
people
makes it even
who-
more
Who
special.
have my artwork? They get a book with their purchase of art, and just so this is what we do with that.
Amazing. So let's come back to Miami Art Week. What do you think about art in Miami?
Well, the art fair is really had come a long way since it started, and it just really gets stronger year to year. It was full of beautiful work.
Yeah.
It was really difficult not to like anything. I pretty much liked everything.
Yeah. Are you going back home with many pieces?
Not this time.
You're being good.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the dangerous part of coming over here. You find so many beautiful pieces.
It's beautiful, but it's also good to see what's there and go home and do your research.
Right.
And follow the artists that maybe you were not aware of before.
Yeah.
And then follow their career, and perhaps then you purchase, or you could do the same on a spot as well. I've done plenty of that.
That's good advice.
Yes.
Yeah, especially for maybe if you're starting to become a collector,
Yes.
to not just dive in, but do your research. And
Yes.
yes, that's very, very interesting that you said that. Anything else that caught your attention for?
I'm happy to be here. I love that we're here together at JADA,
Yeah.
that we're doing this project, and that artists from Boom Contemporary are involved. And personally, I'm very happy to be here. I have this work, exploring landscape, that I've started last summer, after the book and seeing this one show in Paris. I've myself had started working on landscape. I went for the summer. I was working from my studio in Brooklyn, Maine, and I followed kind of footsteps of Alex Katz, And it was a really productive summer for me, and landscape became part of my practice now.
Yeah.
So that is just something that I'd like to add about my own personal work.
Would you say that's where you find your inspiration, just in like everyday experiences?
Um, I am very happy to experience day to day beauties, but I think I kind of feel that from time to time there's a body of work, and I will stay with that body of work.
Mm.
And this time it was landscape, and it was a view from my barn, and we call it the iconic view, and we just always look at it when we
Yeah.
come to their home, and it's just kind of brings peace and happiness, and I followed in the Western canon of
Right.
art, looking at everybody else's work and coming up with my own.
Yes. And given the theme for the JADA Fair this year with the metaverse and
Yes.
creating communities and
Yes.
all of that, what's your opinion on the metaverse and art and where we're headed? What can you tell us about that?
Well, I think that Dana and her um, accomplices have come up with a brilliant plan that perhaps is not that easy to do for an average human, but Dana has all these abilities, and I'm really thrilled that I can be a part of it. Yes,
Yeah.
my work is in metaverse, and it's quite amusing to come and see it in some imaginary place, real work in imaginary place. Um, Beautiful.
Yes, that's
And
so
yeah,
exciting. It's yeah, it's hard to imagine that this is where we are, but you all made it happen.
new generation coming right up.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's best to embrace it.
Exactly.
I feel like. Yes. Um so we've touched upon the Boom Contemporary Art Gallery a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit more about your work there
Yes.
at in New York. How did you get involved with them?
Um, so the alumni director, Michael Shaheen, was kind of putting together a few people to see if there's an interest in collaboration for a gallery. And few people had come together, and we now have a gallery. We have our work on Artsy. So, and we do shows there. Right now we have a small works for Christmas. So that's holiday show. And then from time to time, there are a few um, different shows coming up, and we have had few. We had a show for Ukraine where some of the proceeds had gone to relieve Ukrainian crisis. So we do what we can for the world, and to see, and it's nice to have that platform, because it's difficult for artists to find a platform to be shown at. But
Right.
because we're all very much like-minded, we were trained by the same people. Our wonderful dean, Graham Nixon, um, who we absolutely all adore, and all of his professors. We have separate ateliers, but in a way, we all think alike.
Yeah.
So we can really recognize each other's work, no matter what medium it's in.
Right. It sounds like you've built a lovely community, all of you.
Great community. We're
Yeah.
so lucky. And Dana and I met at the school as well. We have this process of teaching that's called drawing painting marathon, and that is when anyone can apply to and have 2 weeks of not non-interrupted painting and drawing, and it really is very
Wow.
rigorous. um Sometimes from 9 to 12, depending on how the day goes. And then after the 2 weeks, people produce pretty amazing work, because they forget about um their themselves and they just put out what they feel. And that is when
Yeah.
you forget that you're actually there.
Wow.
Um,
Do you have any advice for any aspiring artists or anyone who's a very beginner?
I'd say come to New York Studio School,
Yeah.
do the 2-week marathon, and your life will change.
That sounds very scary.
And it really is not, because there are people just like you,
Right.
and everyone is looking at everybody's work, and you are inspired by the people.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, before you know it, you have beautiful work.
Oh my gosh. That must be so satisfying to see a student come in not feeling confident or where they are at with their art. And then at the end of the 2 weeks.
The confidence comes.
Oh wow.
Yes.
This,
And of course, you can always, go on and do more work within the school. We have a certificate program, and we have Masters of Fine Art program. So people sometimes come for 2 weeks and never leave.
and they stay.
That happened to Dana.
Oh my gosh. We have
Came for
a
2 weeks,
first-hand
and then
account.
she was there. And then we were together for a couple of years. We had a great time.
Oh wow. I love that. That's so
Yes.
fun. Yeah. You must love it there.
I just love it, and I like to make sure that the school gives other people what the school had given me.
Mhm.
And so I joined the board of trustees and work with the school and for the school anytime.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do it anytime. They're that important in my life.
Wow. Do you especially for students or new artists, how do you guys handle the pressure that artists sometimes feel to carry a message in their art?
I think it's just really a practice. I
Yeah.
think the more you work, the less anxious you are, and the more you understand what your purpose is. And perhaps it's not a message, perhaps it's something else.
Yeah.
And art is nonverbal,
Mhm.
very much so.
Right.
Even though we all write artist statements, but it really is something that you could feel.
Yeah.
So message is not necessary.
Right. Yeah, I like that. Just let it be. Let it
That's
speak
right.
for itself.
Let it flow.
Yes. Thank you for being here. And
Thank you so much for having me here. And
My
thank you so
pleasure.
much for covering this wonderful show for JADA and for
Yeah.
Boom Contemporary and for me personally as well.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. And make sure you guys come by tonight until here is until 5, and Brickell is until 10. 10 today and tomorrow. And then Sunday we do like brunch, right? Too. So I just think brunch is yeah. So make sure you guys come by and see all this beautiful work. And maybe even will you be around walking around somewhere?
I might be, yes.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe they
definitely
can bump
here
into
for the
you.
rest of the day here and there.
Yes. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And we will see you guys next time.
Till next time.